Dolph Ziggler once again losing, as he does best, to Baron Corbin, comes up short. Afterwards, Kalisto comes to the aid of Dolph Ziggler, fends off Baron Corbin from the ring, and it looks like they're going to reignite the rivalry between Corbin and Kalisto. Oh, great, yet again. I mean, they've had great matches, but it's time to move on. But afterwards, Ziggler snaps out of nowhere, turns on Kalisto before brawling backstage with Apollo Crews. So I thought this was great, long overdue. Do you think this character development, this heel turn for Dolph Ziggler was a long time coming for him?
It was a long time coming. I'm going to tell you this. I'm interested. You know, he was in desperate need of a change of character. He was that lovable loser for too long. You know, I know nothing's original in wrestling, but he was starting to come off like a cheap Shawn Michaels ripoff. And you know, I feel like he was pandering to that too much. He was relying on, you know, the fact that he's good in the ring and he's held back. Whatever. It was the same old story, but they have a chance to do some new things with him and make him more threatening. My thing is, though, even though he's heel and I'm more interested, what more can you possibly do with the guy? You can't give him the Intercontinental Championship back because it wouldn't make sense. And quite frankly, I think what they got going on, well, I'm sure you're probably going to touch on that a little later. I don't want to spoil it, but I love what they got going on with The Miz and Dean Ambrose now. But quite frankly, I don't think there's room for Dolph Ziggler in that IC title picture. I don't think there's room for him in the main event because I don't look at Ziggler as a main event caliber star. So it's kind of like, what do? You have him feud with Apollo Crews? It's kind of like, even though he turned heel, it was a good move, but what do you do with it?
That's the real question. I mean, I think people have been saying this for months that he should have gone heel a long time ago. It was a long time coming. It is for the best for him, and I think he does. I mean, he's a lot more comfortable as a heel. He's a natural heel. He was very popular as a face, but he's just a natural heel, so I think it's great for him. The move was, a long time coming. It was long overdue. But at the same time, you look at the roster, it's like, okay, he went heel, which was obviously for the better, not shitting on that, but it's the fact, like, okay, but what do you do with him? He's already lost to Corbin twice, or he's already faced him a number of times. They had a long-ass feud last year. He's already feuded with Cena multiple times. He's already feuded with Randy Orton, with Dean Ambrose. They had a dud of a match at SummerSlam. So really, Miz too, they had a million matches. So what else do you do with this guy? And to me, and I've said this for a while now, and I mean, the contract that's been rumored to be up in this year, I think Ziggler's leaving this year. They really just have there's really, like, not that he isn't getting the push he deserves or whatever, so he should just leave. He's been here for well over a decade. He has literally done almost everything there is to do in terms of feuding with everybody, going heel, face, winning the world title twice. I mean, they weren't very long reigns, but he won the world title. He's won every mid-card title, tag title, whatever. There really isn't anything left for him to do. The heel turn, I think, is a great way for him to go out if he does leave this year, maybe in the summer or whatever, but do you really see anything else for Dolph Ziggler if he was to leave in 2017 before he takes off?
I hate to say it, but not off the top of my head, I don't. I think he did peak. I think back when he won the world title, the cash-in after WrestleMania, that was his peak. I don't think he's ever going to reach a point where he could be that guy you insert into the main event and it's believable ever again. He's just, in my opinion, he's lost too much. I mean, I know, granted, that was his role. He was, the lovable loser, the guy that loses and always gets back up. But I feel like in certain cases, there's possibilities where a guy could lose so much to the point where it's like, how can I buy into him being a John Cena? How can I buy into him being a Randy Orton? You know what I mean? And I think Ziggler's in that point. The man couldn't beat The Miz for months. How can I buy him to beat anybody else that's at the top, So, I hate to say it, but there isn't much you could do with him. I mean, I heard this one idea. It was a rumor floating on the internet that they have discussed a faction possibly with a returning Shelton Benjamin, Dolph Ziggler, and Jack Swagger, kind of as like the amateur wrestling jocks. And I don't know if you've ever heard that, but that is one idea. But again, where would it take him? It would basically keep him in the same level. there's nothing you could do to elevate the man. He's gonna be what he is.
Exactly, and I love that you said that too, because I feel like there's a definitive difference between being a lovable loser like Sami Zayn, who looks great in defeat, he could lose a lot and people still love him, and he gets that big win every once in a while. Whereas with Dolph Ziggler, I feel like he was just a loser, and he's been a loser for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at like Survivor Series, he gets the big win. That was what really, other than the Money in the Bank cash-in, should have solidified him as a main event guy. And then he got fired. And that was it. He never got his big win. He never came back. He never fought back against the Authority. He was a fucking loser for months. And he never won another really important match again. And he'll win a match every once in a while. The No Mercy match with Miz a couple months ago was amazing. But other than that, like you said, he loses so much and nothing ever changes about the guy other than the fact he looks like a mini Shawn Michaels, as you said earlier. It's hard to get behind him. So as a heel, it's refreshing. But even I did hear that rumor a couple months ago, and I feel like I do think that Benjamin will be back. Maybe not this month, but I think he'd be great for a Rumble return if he came back in the Rumble. And you know what? Now that I think about it, I mean, like you said, he wouldn't really be elevated, so to speak, and he really should not be a main event guy at this point, just because you got AJ, you have Dean, you have Cena. There's really no room for Ziggler at this point in time, nor should there be anytime soon. But I think that would be a great idea. I mean, I guess we'll kind of transition into this now, but if American Alpha does retain their SmackDown Tag Team titles next week on the show, could you see an American Alpha versus any combination? I mean, Swagger's kind of damaged goods too, even more so, because he hasn't been on the show for months.
Absolutely. That is a guy who's damaged beyond belief.
Yeah, he's a walk-in pink slip at this point, but you have Benjamin and Dolph Ziggler, maybe versus American Alpha at WrestleMania. Could you see that being a possibility, maybe too?
You know what? I would like that. That's better than anything else Ziggler would probably be doing, or Benjamin for that matter. I'm not too hip on the return of Shelton Benjamin, but I'm guessing it's pretty soon because he was out 6 months to a year. I think it's been around 6 months by now. Hopefully he's healing fast, because I think he could be a player on SmackDown this time around. I like the fact that they highlight that SmackDown is the land of opportunity, and they're actually showing it. Mm-hmm. I think guys like Benjamin in a roster like today could work with a lot of guys and could be in the tag division. He's a guy you could plug in any division. You could plug him in the tag with Ziggler, and it would be great, because I think there's a lot of legitimacy in that tag team match. There's Chad Gable, who was in the Olympics and whatnot, and you already know Jason Jordan's background and credentials, and then you have Dolph Ziggler, who went to Kent State with his history. He just got inducted into the Hall of Fame there, and then Shelton with the University of Minnesota. There's just so much background and legitimacy in that, and I think those guys are top-notch in the ring anyway, so that's just a bonus. That would be great.